In the start of this manga, we see a boy is getting bullied. He thinks, "At my school the delinquents had their eyes on me, so I was always bullied. And I hated myself for it. I didn't have the courage to fight back. I hated the bully just as much as my pathetic self. I hated the people who turned blind eye to it as well. I always wished for a chance to redo this life." So, saying that, he goes to sleep. In the next moment, he finds himself somewhere else. There is a girl who calls you Boy Messiah-sama. Takaru is shocked and tells them that his name is Takaru, not Messiah. He thinks that when he got summoned to a different world, he thought this was a chance. This alternate world had an existence called a demon world. The people suffered because of it. He didn't think he could put his life on the line to fight the demon lord. However, a person like myself who couldn't defy bullies. We see he is finally able to use the magic. Girl who is teaching him, her name is Edelweiss and she is a saint. She is very happy after seeing him finally using magic and tells him that he is moving forward. Takara thinks that even so, that this time he could persevere. He wished to accept himself in this alternate world. He did persevere. He did his absolute best and defeated the Demon King. But the result of that, we see Takaru is captured and sitting on the execution table. They are calling Takaru a monster and are about to execute him. They make him wear magic-selling braces so he can't use any magic. The executioner tells the people that they are executing Takaru because he is from another and holds the power to defeat the Demon Lord. So they are taking precautions by killing him before he betrays humanity and destroys the world. Takaru thinks that he is being treated like a beast, let alone getting recognition. They ask him his final words. He couldn't say anything in this mess. Everyone is shouting to kill him. They are about to cut his head. Edelweiss appears there to stop the execution, but she can't do anything alone. Takaru is happy after seeing her because he wasn't able to get acceptance in Japan or in this world, but at least one person shed tears for him. He's sure that his life must have been a happy one. They cut down his head. After that, we see Takaru is in a hospital. He slowly opens his eyes and realizes that it's not that world, but a hospital in Japan. First, he thinks that he came back, but can't believe it because he died just a moment ago. He concludes that there's no way those 3 years were a dream. He says that it's pointless to think about something that he can't understand. First, he needs to confirm his situation. When he sees himself in the mirror, he finds out that this is not even his body. He falls down from the bed. Then he realizes that he's got several bone fractures. Then he tries to use magic that he learned in another world, Recovery All. As the name suggests, this is a healing magic, and it works. He gets up and says that his pain is now gone. He thinks that the fact he can use magic means that wasn't a dream after all and says, "What if I'm dreaming right now?" One girl that seems to be Takaru's new body's mom appears there and hugs after seeing him. First, she asks how he can wake up because he had fractures all over, and asks him how he is moving. Takaru thinks that she's the mother of this body's owner, and the other guy is a doctor. Takaru tells them a lie that he lost his memories because he can't tell them about the bullies. They tell him that he fell down from the school's roof while he was playing with his friends because the fence broke. They ask him if he remembers his name was Kusanagi Takaru. His previous name was Yamado Takaru, and this body's name is Kusanagi Takaru. He tells them that he remembers his name. Doctor still can't believe that he heals so fast and said that this is impossible even for a proficient healer. Takaru thinks that even though this isn't another world, there are healers. Takaru's dad appears there and hugs him without any second thought. He is relieved after seeing that his son is fine. He says that even though Takaru doesn't remember them, he's just so happy that he's alive. After getting so much love, Takaru thinks that you've been brought up with a lot of love. Takeru doesn't get what's going on here at all, but he will find a way to give you back your body, so please wait a little while. In the end, they did all sorts of tests on him, and the results all showed that he's very healthy, so he was quickly discharged. The technology back at the hospital seemed more futuristic than the one he knew. But since everyone speaks Japanese here, it must be Japan. Even still, there's a cleanliness to the city that he's not used to seeing. Back when he was in Japan as Takaru Yamado, it was the year 2000. There is a TV where a news reporter says, "It is time for the news." Today marks the end of May. The hot spring of 2040 is about to pass. The hunters are risking their very lives to protect our everyday lives. Takaru is completely stunned and thinks, That's an ogre? And even goblins? Why are they wreaking havoc here in this world and not that other one? What are hunters? He has so many questions. His dad says that the hunters do some incredible work, and he wants to become one as well. Takaru's mom scolds his dad, saying that he is too clumsy and will die in no time. They see hunters are fighting with monsters in front of them. Takaru sees them and thinks, they're fighting using magic as if it's normal, even though it's Japan. It resembles that world. Some crack suddenly appears in front of them. They get scared. Dad tries to stop the car, but it's too close. Takaru suddenly uses guard protection to save his family. Dad is shocked after realizing that he doesn't get injured. Mom and Takaru are also fine. Takaru sees that crack-like thing and thinks that he's seen this in that other world. It looks like a summoning skill. Something is coming out from that crack. These are ogres. Takaru sees them and thinks that an ogre is a monster that even the kingdom's trained knights needed several of them to take one down. An ordinary person wouldn't stand any chance against it, but if it's Takaru, he can make quick work of it. People are running around, trying to save their lives from these ogres. Takaru remembers the days of his death and thinks that the nail that sticks out gets hammered down. Not to mention that this body belongs to Kusanagi Takaru. It's not mine. If he stands out in some weird way, then when he needs to give this body back, it'll spell trouble. And he doesn't want to be afraid anymore, so he decides to run. But when he turns around, he sees that his parents are about to get caught. Takaru uses his magic and kills that monster in one strike to save his parents. Mom and Dad are very scared. Takaru asks them if they are okay and tells them that a nearby hunter came and defeated it. Let's quickly get away. Takaru sees the monster and thinks, so, I ended up using my power after all. I'm glad I was able to save these two, but the problem is that, after my attack, there was an attack by someone else. It really could become troublesome. That attack was this hunter. They are walking home because their car broke. But they are relieved because there were no casualties even though it was such a big incident. They are standing in front of their house. Takaru's mom tells him that this is his home and welcome him. Takaru is in his room and thinks if he has to spend his time as Kusanagi, then he needs information. He did a once-over, but he can't find any diary. He was hoping he will get something good like, but instead he found a book about hunters. Takaru read that book and thinks, there's even a ranking system, a special report. It's as if they're celebrities. There is a note in one page where Kusanagi wrote that if he was a hunter, he would have loved to join this guild. After reading that, Takaru thinks it's a weird feeling. I'm in Japan, but it feels like I'm not. I've spent 3 years in a different world, so I'm kinda used to strange things. He finds a mobile and is very shocked after seeing it, because he's not familiar with it and it's hard to operate for him, but he decides to learn it. Takaru decides to use it, but he thinks that the cost of using it too much will be massive. Suddenly he gets a message. Takaru gets shocked after hearing that voice. He gets more nervous than fighting the demon lord when I know that this uses Takaru's parents' money. Using facial recognition, he opens the lock. This is a message from a Kusanagi's friend Araki. He says that because of Kusanagi doing suiciding attempt, police even came to his house and he'll never forgive him. After reading that, Takaru remembers his old days. Araki says to him that once you come to school, I will make sure to give you an even greater time than before, so make sure you look forward to it. Akira sends him an image. Takaru gets angry and asks Akira to not send him images randomly. Think about the cost. Takaru's mother tells him that he can use the internet how much he wants because they have Wi-Fi. Takaru isn't familiar with the word Wi-Fi. His mom tells him that she did knock, but she just wanted to let him know. It's very difficult for him because of amnesia. That's why he doesn't need to attend school for a while. Takaru thinks, since I am in a similar situation to Urashima Taro, I used the time off to look up various things on my smartphone. 30 years ago, after I got summoned to the other world, gates connected Earth to another world and monsters started spilling out. Monsters started killing people. Modern weapons didn't work on these unknown beings. However, out of nowhere, magicians appeared and started fighting the monsters. The magician began to pass it off as a skill that anybody could learn. Magic became an essential subject, and people started defeating monsters. Those who studied magic became known as magi, and those that defeated monsters are known as hunters. Their roulette became dealing with gate breaks as well as the protector of our everyday lives. While walking, he enters a market road. There are so many shops. Here people use magic for little things. While walking, Takaru thinks, society has really adapted to magic. Something so otherworldly, it still doesn't feel real to me. This world differs greatly from the one I know. It's been 40 years, so people got used to it. It's not like I want to return to my time, but it feels a lot more lonely than I thought. Suddenly someone snatches a girl's purse. He runs away from there saying they are so slow. Takaru sees him and thinks that he is using magic to escape, and he's running faster than a bike. Takaru uses physical boost magic. He suddenly appears before the snatcher and grabs him from the shoulder. Takaru says to him, "If you're trying to run using physical boost, then be at least this fast." Takaru returns the purse to its owner. They are thanking him. Little girl says that it is her first time seeing someone running this fast using a physical boost. Takaru thinks, so that was too fast. I'll be more careful next time. Grandma gives him some candies as a reward. Grandma tells him that she wants to thank him properly, but he don't want that. So take the candy. After seeing her, Takaru remembers his grandma giving him candies as a reward for massaging her shoulders. Takaru thanks her and takes the candies. He is walking by himself and thinks, even if 40 years have passed and a lot of things have changed, the fundamental aspects have remained the same. And he's glad for that. He decided to go back because it's completely dark now. Someone tries to attack him from behind, but he easily dodges his attack. That boy says, "Aren't you glad you were able to dodge it by a fluke? Although I would have been more glad if you didn't ignore my texts." Right, Kusanagi. So this boy is Araki who was texting him. Takaru remembers his message and says, "Araki." Araki gets angry and tells him that it's supposed to be Araki-kun. Takaru thinks, so these things don't change. No matter the era, no matter the world. While Araki is shouting at him, he thinks, I see Takaru also has this problem. Even after 40 years, there are still guys like this around. In the past, I was afraid of guys like this to the point that I couldn't do anything. But, honestly, fighting dragons in that other world seems scarier compared to that. Facing Araki feels like. Takaru sees Araki just as a little dog. Takaru smiles and Araki asks him, "What are you laughing at?" Araki tries to attack him. Takaru sees his punch coming and thinks, what to do? It would be simple to send this guy flying, but I also want to avoid being flashy. I guess I'll make him fall over by stomping the ground. Araki says, "Giving birth to a guy like you is a mistake. Your parents too." Takaru gets angry after hearing that and hits him in the face. Takaru asks him not to badmouth his parents. Araki angrily gets up and is about to use his magic to attack Takaru. Suddenly a gate appears behind Araki. Monster comes out and attacks Araki. This attack throws his Araki and he hits the wall, making him very injured. Takaru sees him and thinks, he isn't dead. It seems I don't know if it's because he's a boxer, but he's pretty sturdy. Now then, there are no passers-by and Araki's out cold. But it's not like I can spend that much time on it. I'll end this in an instant. Takaru uses a physical boost and defeats the monster with just one punch. Takaru sees the mess and thinks that it ended up being a scene of horror. Well, it's okay. It's just Araki. More importantly, this gate. I can't just leave it, but Takaru destroys the gate, but police appear there while he does it. Hunter Girl says that she can't believe it, to take down a bloody ogre in one hit. Officer tells her that it was already like this when they arrived at the scene. She says that the gate is also closed. At the scene they found a boy that had collapsed, but other than a few bruises, nothing unusual. It seems like he was fighting with a classmate here. Arake tells them that he beat the bloody ogre. Girl thinks that it's not possible for him to defeat the bloody ogre because he doesn't have that much mana. Girl tells Officer that she'll be returning to the Hunter Association and asks Officer to send her report later. This girl's name is Sakura. Many people appear there and says that she is so cute and she became an S rank at very young age. Sakura ignores them and thinks, a bloody ogre is a very dangerous monster that needs severed out A-rank hunters to deal with it. Faster than me, who was dispatched from the Hunter Association. They defeated the monster and closed the gate. She concludes that in this town there's a hunter stronger than her. We see Takaru is eating food with his family. This is my first manga recap. If you like it, then subscribe to the channel and like the video. Complete 100 likes for part 2. After that, we see Takaru standing in front of Kazami High School. Takaru thinks that this is the school that previous Takaru attends. It's sight more familiar to him than he thought it'd be. He remembers his parents telling him that he doesn't need to go to school if he is not feeling well. But Takaru thinks that he is fine and also points out that the previous Takaru wouldn't like it if he had to repeat a year due to missed classes. He sees around and thinks that the previous Takaru goes as far as suicide, so he assumes that previous Takaru doesn't have any friends. However, this Takaru managed to get a second chance in a different world, having someone to practice magic with, exchanging fierce glances between fellow adventurers, running away, or fighting against powerful demons. Takaru thinks and tells the previous Takaru that he wants to create a world where everyone can laugh naturally. Though, I don't think that previous Takaru is listening. After that, he takes a step to go inside while thinking that he can make that first here, thanks to that Saintus. Inside, the class teacher tells everyone that from today onward Kusanagi will be returning to classes. Due to the nature of his injuries, he is experiencing amnesia. Teacher asks everyone to help and support Kusanagi through this. Takaru sits on his seat. No one cares about him and asks him to behave himself until the first period's teacher gets here. Everyone is silent. Araki appears there. His friends are talking loudly that he takes down the bloody ogre alone. Araki is praising himself. Suddenly, he sees Takaru sitting on his seat. He remembers that only Takaru knows how he got beaten by a bloody ogre. He quietly sits down on his seat. A boy with glasses talks Takaru and asks him if he is okay. Takaru can't believe that there are people who talk to him. Glasses boy assumes that Takaru doesn't remember him, so he introduces himself as Sawamura Takuru. He tells him that he also likes hunters, so he and Takaru often talk, and tells him that it's nice to meet him again. Takaru is shocked and can't say anything. He can't believe that Takaru had friends. After some time, Takaru gets tired and feels sleepy because he's exhausted. He thinks that he definitely got stronger physically and mentally by going to the other world, but he can't say the same for his intellect. His intellect wasn't great to begin with, and even when he was in high school, he forgot to study all the time. Not to maintain that the textbooks here aren't made of paper. Takaru asks, so this is how they teach in the future. Sawamura sees Takaru and thinks, so amnesia gives this sort of feeling. He tells Takaru that even though he has amnesia, he doesn't feel dejected. Rather, he seems fine. Takaru asks him about what kind of person Kusanagi Takaru was in his eyes. Sawamura tells him that he was the kindest person in the world. Araki's friends come to Takaru and tell him that he seems healthy and tell him that they were worried about him. Takaru just says hello to them. Araki's friends ask him if he is afraid of the police because today he is not bullying Takaru. Araki tells them that there's last time's case too. So getting involved with him is gonna be nothing but trouble, and the cops are also mega annoying. Takaru just ignores them. Araki and his friend ask Sawamura to help them in their studies. Sawamura agrees to help them. Sawamura asks them if they are going to the library again. Araki happily tells him that he's right. Sawamura says goodbye to Takaru and tells him that they will meet again tomorrow. Takaru is shocked and can't believe that those guys are serious about studying. Then he remembers how Kusanagi suicides and thinks that there's no way this is the case. Takaru goes to other students and asks them about where Sawamura goes. He knows that they are not going to the library and asks them if they go to the roof. Student tells him that the roof is blocked off because of Takaru's incident. Probably they are behind the school. Takaru immediately goes behind them. We see Araki is reading, but when he finishes reading, he punches Sawamura in the stomach while the bald boy is holding him. Sawamura is on the ground. Takaru is seeing them while hiding and thinks that it's great that he came. But now what he can do, he doesn't want to change Takaru's circumstances too much. So he'd like to avoid going straight in. Araki tells Sawamura that he's an idiot. He could have just shouted, "Help" to Kusanagi or something. Araki asks him if he realized that because of playing with him, Kusanagi tried to suicide. Takaru thinks that Araki is not wrong. Sawamura came here on his own. No matter how you think about it, it was to protect Kusanagi. And for Takaru, Kusanagi is top priority. Takaru wants to save him, but coming right here would be bad. They are beating Sawamura very badly. Sawamura gets up and tells them that he won't ask Kusanagi for help. He abandoned Kusanagi, even though he's a friend. There's no way Sawamura could ask him for help. because Sawamura was supposed to be the target. He knew that Kusanagi was fighting alone on his behalf. He says that he took advantage of his kindness. Kusanagi is feeling something on his chest after hearing Sawamura's thoughts. Sawamura was about to say that he will save Kusanagi this time, but Araki hits him in the face. Takara gets up smiling and thinks if that's what you want. He appears in front of them and tells him he'll play with them next. He thought to himself of saving Sawamura together with Kusanagi. Araki's friends ask if he came to get beaten up. Sawamura is so beaten up that he can't even tell that Takaru is here to save him. They says that he doesn't even have the endurance to be a sandbag. Takeris tells them that he's strong. Suddenly Takaru appeared in front of a bald man and hit him in the face. Bald man falls down while bleeding from nose. After that he kicked the second bully in the face. They get up to attack Takaru together, but it's no use because he just simply collides them with each other. Araki gets angry and runs to attack him, but Takaru grabs him from his face and slams him onto the ground. Takaru tells him that even so he's still a dog person. If Araki doesn't fix his habit of barking, he'll annoy other people. Araki's friends get up, and now they are ready to attack Takaru, but this time with magic. Takaru thinks that he's glad because they're making it easy for him. He remembers, during the war with the Demon Lord's army, he was honest to a fault and let a guy go. The village was razed to the ground because of that. Thanks to that, he learned his lesson. Once you start something like this, you can't be half-assed. He thinks that he'll make to so they never again do anything hostile. Never again will they approach Sawamura. He will break their will. Suddenly a gate appears there. An ogre comes out from the gate. They get scared and say that the ogre is the most dangerous monster that can come out from the blue gate. But they calm down after remembering that the Araki is here, and he did beat a bloody ogre before. So they assume that they are fine, but they don't know that was just a fake story. Araki and Takaru looks toward each other. Araki uses a fireball to attack the ogre, but the ogre easily deflected that fireball. They get very scared. The ogre attacks Araki and sends him flying. Other bullies also run away from there. Now it's just the ogre and Takaru. Takaru easily kills that ogre with just one attack. Araki sees that and calls him a monster. Takaru is going towards him, but Araki asks him to not come near him, despite that Takaru heals him. Takaru breaks the ground with just his pressure, making Araki scared. Takaru tells him that he wants to live peacefully without standing out, so he asks Araki to tell everyone that he defeated the ogre here. Araki gets shocked. Takaru tells him that there's no eyewitnesses, so it's all good. He tells Araki that you have already defeated the bloody ogre, so people will believe you. Takaru also warns to not involve himself with him or Sawamura from now on, and asks him to stop bullying people. The same for those other two as well. He asks Araki to stop them, and if there ever happens to be a next time. Takaru taps his head and asks him if he gets what he means. After that, Araki passed out. Hunters are here to stop the ogre. Takaru takes Sawamura and asks Araki to do a good job deceiving them. After that, we see Auron Academy, that is a hunter training technical school managed by the Hunter Association. One girl is talking to Sakura. She tells her that she was dispatched to deal with the gate and the ogre at Kazami High School, but before she managed to arrive, everything was already dealt with. She also tells Sakura that the lone male student that was at the scene claimed he defeated it himself, but she doesn't think that it was him. She tells Sakura that the remnants of mana at the scene was way more than a normal human's output. She is scared and says that it was such a monstrous presence. Sakura looks at her and thinks that for her to be so scared when she has more than enough power as a hunter from residual mana. Also, this student yesterday. Sakura thanks the girl for giving her information and tells her that she'll take over the case and look at it. She assumes that she is no good at dealing with those types of people. She thinks that she just wants to deal with the monsters. The person who contained the appearance of the monster today, looking at the circumstances, it was someone else other than Araki. Then there's the case of the bloody ogre the other day. According to the report, Araki was arguing with someone. She believes that someone vanished from this scene. She's sure that she'll get close to the truth if she talks to Araki, and it's for the sake of her family as well. The possibility of an irregular cannot be left unchecked. She arrives at Takaru's school. Next day, when Sawamura enters the school, he sees that Araki is looking completely different. He changed his appearance from a thug to a normal and decent student. His hairs are still trying to stand. He fixes his hairs, but the class students are still scared. But Araki's friends are laughing at him, saying that it's so funny, and ask him what kind of character change this is. They tell him that this is so not you. They look towards Sawamura with an angry look. Araki hits them for doing this. He changed completely. Takaru arrives there and says good morning to Sawamura. Sawamura nervously replies saying good morning to him. Pretending that he doesn't know anything, Takaru asks him about his injuries. Takaru thinks that he wants to heal Sawamura completely, but he remembers what doctor said when he healed himself, so to not get exposed, he doesn't heal him completely. Sawamura asks him if he went home right away yesterday. Takaru replies saying Mom made a lot of tonkatsu to celebrate his return to school. He thought his stomach was going to explode. Sawamura happily replies that it must have been tough. Sawamura asks him about what happened to Araki. Takaru tells him that it's fine. He is just being diligent. We see Sakura standing in front of Takaru's school. She thinks this is Kazami High School. She hears one student saying, "Sorry, sensei. I burned your hair." Sensei tells that student that it's fine, these things happen while learning magic. She smiles after hearing their conversation. She thinks, nowadays all hunters are managed by the Hunter Association. A person holding that much power going around as they please. Who knows what they might do with that power? All the more reasons why she should find the irregular. Someone arrives there and says, "Why is the Valkyrie here in all places?" This person is a S-rank hunter Orochi. Real name, Hebikawa Jean. Jean asks about what she is doing here. She replies, "Not really." The Ouroboros Guild is in charge of the Tokai region and asks him if it is okay for the guild master to be here. He tells her that she doesn't need to worry because they have a lot of excellent people. She thinks that the Ouroboros Guild is famous for their aggressive scouting method. The reason he's here is likely irregular. She points out that it seems like their guild has been running around trying to gain power lately. Orochi asks her about where did she catch that. He calls her brat but also praises her because she has her info. She tells him that even if it's him, he's afraid of the god of war. He replies that he couldn't care less about those righteous idiots who only see what's in front of them, and they don't seem to be interested in a conflict between guilds. She mentions that they both are hunters and shouldn't concern themselves with conflicts. They should protect people with our power. Jean tells her that in order to protect, we need to gather a strong force, under a more powerful leader than the Hunters Association. She tells him that she hates him because he's acting like he's a chosen one. Jean says to her that she is still a little girl and acting as a hunter with such a pure heart. More importantly, since you're here, it means that the guy is here without a doubt. She asks him about what he is planning. He is about to use his magic sayings. I wonder what. She orders him to stop that, but Jean tells her to not give orders to him. Suddenly they notice something. We see inside the school students saying that it's a great break. Teachers tell students to stay calm. Evacuate in an orderly manner. Sakura asks Jean to come with her, but he refuses and tells her that he is about to go back. Jean tells her that it feels like a blue gate. With her here it's fine. He tells her that he's not so free to deal with such small fries. She asks him if he is not a hunter. Jin replies that he is a hunter and not normal one but a Japan's finest S-rank hunter. Jean thinks that the magic that he felt for an instant when the gate broke it's bigger than he imagined, and the skill to completely erase any trace and blend into everyday life. He assumes that he's not dealing with someone normal, but he is dealing with a monster. He mentions that he needs to prepare all sorts of things. We see in school so many monsters are coming out from the gate. Monsters are about to attack one student, but Sakura arrives in time and kills that monster. Sakura is killing as many as she can, but there are so many of them. One girl falls and screams to not leave her behind. When the monster was about to attack her, Sakura uses some kind of attack that kills so many monsters in an instant. She tells everyone that she is the S-rank hunter, Sakura. She asks them to evacuate while she is dealing with monsters. Araki's friends praised him, saying that he looks weird but is strong as usual. Sakura sees that and thinks that there are some with fighting experience. These skeletons and ghouls are the lowest rank monsters, so the students should be fine. She can help them. The will-o-wisps can use magic, so they pose a danger, but there are only a few of them. If they calm down, I'm sure they could have dealt with it themselves. However, this being an unusual situation for students, and they haven't received any training for it, so she can't blame them for panicking and being unable to move. However, for that very reason, hunters exist. She sees Takaru using a sacred circle, but she still hasn't seen his face. She sees him and concludes that she found the irregular. Now we see this scene from Takaru's perspective. He used a sacred circle and thinks that now the gate. Sakura is standing behind him and calls him the irregular. After destroying the gate, he immediately used a physical boost to run away from her. She tells him that he won't be able to get away and uses a lightning boost. She runs behind him. They are outside running on top of buildings' roofs. Sakura sees him and thinks that he's really fast and asks herself if he is really using a physical boost. She points out that the lightning boost should give her more speed than his skill. Takaru notices her presence and thinks that she can keep up. He doesn't want to turn around and show his face to her, but he can feel her pressure. He could go faster if he wanted to. Physical boost is a magic that increases one's physical abilities. However, this is the limit for Kusanagi. He points out that if he was in his original body, which had undergone training, well, even if he says that it can't be helped anymore, Mafik stems from the soul, and he does have it under control, but it'd be bad to let his guard down. Takaru says that he will train Kusanagi's body a bit. Saying that, he uses an aerial boost and disappears from there. She is shocked after seeing that speed. She stops and thinks that she has to give up on him for now, and asks herself about what she could do. After that, we see Takaru walking on the street. He thinks that he's pretty far away from the school. He thinks about his bag and decides to get it tomorrow. He's sure there won't be any more lessons. The one that chased after me was probably a hunter. When he looked them up on the net, I thought they were like the chivalric orders or adventurers from the other world. But there are some pretty strong people. It seems like he can't let his guard down. He enters his house and tells that he's home. His mom hugs her and welcomes him. She tells him that she is so glad that he's really okay. Takaru says sorry to make her worry. She tells him that she heard ogres appeared at your school and you didn't answer your phone. Takaru first says sorry and asks where's his smartphone. Mom tells him that a friend came here and brought it back for you. They're in the living room, so go say thank you. First he assumes that it is Sawamura who brought back the phone, but he sees that Sakura is sitting there drinking tea. Sakura knows his name, Kusanagi Takaru, and welcomes him. Takaru pretends to be shocked after seeing S-rank hunter. Takaru thinks that she is the one who was chasing after him and says thanks to her for beginning his smartphone. She tells him she wanted to ask him about some things. Takaru asks her, "You have questions for me?" She replies saying yes and tells him that she wants to ask about yesterday's abandoned factory incident, also the bloody ogre incident. Takaru, with a smiling face, thinks that this is bad. Taker thinks that this is a lot worse than he thought. He can't run away anymore, and they can't talk about it openly. Takaru's mother is also misunderstanding something, so this is all sorts of bad. Taker tries to convince her to talk alone, saying that she went out of her way. He'd like to properly thank her, so he asks her to talk a little in his room. She replies yes. Takaru's mom misunderstands the whole situation and says that she should go boy cake. They got black tea instead of cake. Takaru asks her to sit. She tells him that she'll be fine standing. She immediately asks him about his identity. Takaru thinks that she went straight for it. She tells him that depending on his answers, she might have to restrain him. Takaru thinks that this person, she's pretty boorish. He gets the feeling that if he lies poorly, it'll be found out. Even if he said he was a hero from a different world, she'd just write it off as a joke. She immediately handcuffs his hands using magic and points out the fact that he's being quiet now means he has something he doesn't want to talk about. Takaru tells her that he doesn't do anything back and also tells her that he has amnesia. Takaru tells her that if she asks his parents, they'll confirm this. His school was informed as well. She asks him if that's the case, then how are he fighting monsters? Even if he has good senses to use magic during such an emergency, how is he so calm? He replies to her saying that he also doesn't know anything, but for some reason he's able to do that. She asks him about why he is hiding his power. Takaru tells her that even if he gained power all of a sudden, he doesn't want to use it. It's scary. She tells him that he'll be able to perform the hunter activities at the highest level. Taker replies that he doesn't want to make his parents worry, and he has no desire to become a hunter. She asks him even if he could have everything. Takaru tells her that he has no need for such things. If he can spend his time peacefully, that is enough for him. She releases him and says that she understood. She tells him that as long as he doesn't use his power for bad things, that she and the Hunter Association have nothing more to say to you. She'll make it so that I alone took care of the matter earlier. Takaru is shocked after realizing that she believes him so easily. She replies that she's not going to believe everything right away. But when she thought about what he did again, all he did was to protect others. She left his house saying her apology for chasing after him all of a sudden, and she was also violent inside of his home as well. He tells her that he should be the one apologizing for acting suspiciously. She tells him that setting your phone password to 5 zeros could be bad. This explains how he found him. She tells him that she became a hunter so that others could live in peace. She also warns him that he won't be able to hide his powers for long. However, if he wants to have a peaceful life, then your peaceful everyday life. She tells him that she will protect it. She got his contract information just to be safe. She smiles and says, "What a mysterious person." Grandpa tells her to stop texting while she's walking.